Good morning to those of you who are uh, connecting with us. I'm Michael Harris, chairman of the Shelby County Democratic Party. And as many of you know, there's so much that's happening right now that we have to really uh, pay attention to because things are changing rapidly in America. They're changing rapidly in Tennessee, and they are definitely changing rapidly in Shelby County and the city of Memphis. Uh, COVID-19 and the coronavirus has forced us to embrace the age of technology, but it's also forced us into the safest corridors available to us all, and that is home. For many people, COVID-19 has brought tragedy. Uh, Many have lost family members. I personally have lost friends and friends who were close to me in age and proximity in terms of where they live as well. College classmates and people that I met just over the course of my life, and and that has created a scenario or a situation that we have to manage. We have to balance the need to get things done with the need to be safe and to protect what's most important, which is life. And that's what we're here about. We're about life. And we want to talk about the fact that voting saves lives. It makes the quality of life better for us all when we get to give input, when we get to make choices about who will represent us. And our concern today lies principally with the fact that those choices uh, are at risk of being taken away because our Shelby County Election Commission has not committed itself to the cause of fulfilling the purpose for which it was instituted. And that is a concern. And so at this point, I'll begin uh, addressing what those specific concerns are. And I'm going to make an ask of you all. And I'm going to ask that you take this commitment seriously and that you share this commitment and challenge the people in your circle, challenge your family and your friends and your loved ones to accept this call to action. And let's make sure that voter disenfranchisement is not the story of this election in August on tomorrow, which is election day, and we want to make sure it's not the story in November, and we want to make sure that it never becomes the story of Shelby County again. And so, welcome to this live recording. It's not a standard press conference; it's a call to action. And I want to begin by reminding all of us of what the most basic function of the Shelby County Election Commission is. I want us all to hold the standard that I'm about to share with you in the forefront of your mind and in our minds. And let's, think about that as we talk about the problems that we need to address with the Shelby County Election Commission. And so the most basic function of the Election Commission is this, and that is to provide the voters of Shelby County with fair elections and to ensure that those elections are free and equitable as it relates to access. And it should be easy to vote. That's supposed to be easy, but it's not. And instead, uh, through astounding mangling of the early voting period for primary elections during this cycle, the Election Commission has made the process of voting complicated for those who are trying to be safe, those who are trying to protect themselves. And this is not the first time. We remember the votes from 2015 that remain uncounted to this day. We remember the attempt to cut early voting sites and make fewer available that would have impacted primarily the working class and primarily Black communities back in 2018. And now they're making new memories to reflect on as it relates to voter suppression, and we need to stop it. As I sit here before you today, there are Memphians, there are registered voters who have requested absentee ballots within the time window allowed to request a ballot, and yet they have not received those ballots. And if you do the math, the likelihood that you get a ballot today and can send it off today and it be absolutely received and handled properly is not very good. And that is a problem. There are voters who receive ballots. And I just read this post yesterday. This young lady received her ballot. It didn't have any U.S. senatorial candidates on the ballot. That's a problem. That's a spoiled ballot. And the Shelby County Election Commission has to provide an equitable and fair and easy access to voters in terms of making those selections when it's an absentee ballot involved. They're supposed to do that, and they're not doing that. So that's a problem. We have ballots that are inaccurate. We have ballots that have not been delivered. And then on top of that, we have ballots where people are having to pay postage, having to provide an envelope, and we don't know what everyone's financial situation is. We don't know what everyone's mobility is like. And so in the midst of a global pandemic, the election commission expects voters to create additional risk or take additional risk by making trips to purchase stamps and by going to the post office in situations where there might not be a good decision for the individual. And we recall the days in the past where we had to pay money in exchange for access to the ballot. And those days are gone. The vast majority of the missing or incorrect ballots are for Black voters. And here's how we know that. 78% of all absentee ballot requests were submitted by those who declared Democrat. And when we look at the largest voting demographic within our Democratic Party, what that tells us is, one, our communities that are poor are the ones that are primarily more Democratic. So we know that this is a problem. We know that this is impacting our communities where we have Black voters, where we have working class voters, where we have Democrats. And this came to the forefront and weeks ago when our county commissioner, Tammy Sawyer, called Linda Phillips to the carpet and asked a question about the timing or whether or not absentee ballots were being mailed based on zip code. And upon learning that actually was the case, Tammy Sawyer addressed that and called Linda Phillips to the carpet on it. And we commend her for taking that action. And the reason why we have ballots that haven't been delivered, the reason why we have problems that can't be addressed is because the voters who live in Fraser were not at the top of the list to get their ballots. The voters who live in Raleigh were not at the top of the list to receive their absentee ballots. The voters in North Memphis and parts of North Memphis were not on the list to receive their absentee ballot early and at the top of the list. And those in parts of South Memphis were not at the top of the list. And so that is a problem. And we live in a country where we're supposed to have access to elections. Everybody know that Congressman John Lewis fought for that and has been an advocate for justice in America, as have many others who are even among us today that work in Shelby County have been advocates, and we've got to take a stand. And so the Shelby County Democratic Party is calling on all voters and all concerned citizens to call and email Linda Phillips at the Shelby County Election Commission and make the following demands. One, we're asking you to demand that voters who requested mail-in ballots and did not receive them, or voters who received the wrong ballot, as several have reported, that they be allowed to vote at the polls by paper ballot and not by provisional ballot. Because a provisional ballot is generally not counted unless there is an incredibly close race. And that, Democrats, residents of Shelby County, and voters, is voter suppression. To force voters to be penalized because the election commission failed to do its job and perform its function properly is voter suppression. And that's what the provision of ballot is. It's a penalty ballot, essentially. Second, we're asking you to demand that they do not prioritize speed over an accurate and complete count of all votes. I believe the election commission feels compelled to complete its evaluation of the election on the day of. But if there is a way to calculate and count all votes that are eligible to be counted, and it takes a day, or if it takes some extra hours, take the time, because it's more important to do it right than to just simply get it done. Third, we're asking that you demand that everyone who requested a mail-in ballot and has it returned, that their vote be counted, and that their vote be counted before announcing the totals. So we will post these demands in a clear way for you to read, and make a call down to the Shelby County Election Commission and email Linda Phillips and let them know that we see what's happening and that we won't stand for it. We will post our contact information. We will post contact information on Facebook, on our Twitter page. It's also scrolling on the ticker below at the bottom of the screen. And we will also provide a written version of this statement. The Election Commission is run by Ms. Linda Phillips. And for those who would like to take the information down audibly, her name is Linda Phillips, and her number is 901-222-1200. And she can be emailed at Linda, that's Linda, .Phillips, PHILLIPS, at ShelbyCountyTN.gov. We call upon Linda Phillips today to carry out the will of the electorate, and nothing less will suffice. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions, please reach out to us via Facebook. You can send us a message and we will respond. And you could also email us at info@shelbydem.org, and we'll be able to respond if you have a question that we can answer. But otherwise, please don't take this moment for granted. Please reach out and call the Shelby County Election Commission and make those demands today. One, that all those who requested an absentee ballot who have an issue with that, for whatever reason, be allowed to vote by paper ballot and not be forced to vote by provisional ballot. And two, that the Election Commission simply take the time to do the job right and make sure that all votes are counted, as opposed to rushing through and of course at the expense of voters not considering and counting all votes. And three, we want to make absolutely sure that everyone who requested a mail-in ballot, that their ballot is counted before numbers are announced. So those are our requests and demands that we're asking you to join us in making. And thank you so much. I hope you have a really good day. And if you have questions, again, please reach out to us.